What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for June 4th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Few housekeeping things before we get started. Be sure to check out Back to the Future, my other podcast. That's Back to the Future with a PH, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube. Continued the mourning process of the Sixers season. Put a nice little bow on the 22-23 Sixers year. We talked about on this week's episode the 1986 offseason, and we just hired Nick Nurse as coach, so pretty sure that this offseason will not be nearly as bad as the 1986. So go give it a listen, tell a friend, subscribe, leave a review. All of those things help us grow the podcast. Do the same for This Day in Philly Sports History as well. Leave a review, subscribe, whatever you need, and I appreciate it. All right, Union update. They continue to roll. They won 3-0 up in Montreal last night. Good win as they're climbing up the standings. Would like to try to get down to a game this summer. I heard it's a good time, so definitely want to check out that stadium. I haven't been doing any, Eagles updates on their OTAs because there's not a lot coming out of them. It's more of a team building experience and things like that. But two big takeaways that I'm hearing a lot of people talk about are Cam Jurgens has been working with the ones, and I think that's kind of who they want to put into that spot. And we'll see. I guess they're going to give him every opportunity to attempt to be the starter there. And then Nakobe Dean has been working with the ones, which we've fully expected. And with the way the offseason had played out, he's one of those guys that we need to step up the young guys. And with the guys they lost in free agency, it was very important for Howie to nail these past two drafts. I think with the pedigree and the experience down in Georgia, I think they're going to be fine. But I'm looking forward now to training camp to open up. And I really hope that this year I get offered to go to training camp again because I would love to be able to really dive in and look at some of these matchups and some of these guys working. All right, Phillies update. They finally, got off the schneid, 4-2 in a bullpen game. Bullpen did not give up a run over 7 innings, I think it was, or something. Covey looked pretty good. Real Muto hit a home run. They're still hitting they hit 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position though, so that continues to be an issue. But I mean, they're like I said, they showed some fight the other night. They came out and played a solid team game yesterday. Yes, it's the Nationals, but it's encouraging to see. I think they're very close to putting it all together. The key piece is going to be Schwarber, though. I don't know what's up with him. I mean, usually he gets off to slow starts, doesn't hit much for average, but he's been putrid. So I did read some places, some articles this morning that guys were questioning Rob Thompson whether or not he was hurt. Not really sure if that's the case or what is going on with him. However, this is where he should start heating up historically in his career, so we're going to definitely need that. But good win either way. Let's see if we can take 2 out of 3 from the Nationals, and then we're coming home this week for a couple more division games. But today, we're going back to 1964, and on this day, June 4th, 1964, the Dodgers avoided being swept by the Phillies, beating the Phils 3-0. Sandy Koufax pitched a no-hitter. He had 12 Ks, gave up 1 walk to Dick Allen, who then promptly got thrown out in a double play. So he pitched the 27 batters, so close to a perfect game. Just dominant on this day. The Phils did take the first 2 games of this series, so Dodgers did salvage one, and they did it in a big way. And then 17 days later is when Jim Bunning would actually get the perfect game on Father's Day, but that was against the Mets. And we all know how that 64 team worked out for the Phils, the big fold, as they call it, or the choke, where they blew the big lead running down in September. But somebody who won't choke down the stretch and let you down, PhillyGoat.com. Father's Day is coming up. I've been telling you to just keep dropping hints and leave websites open and things like that. But they have a great selection of Philly sports apparel, hats, t-shirts. If you want to stock up for some sweatshirts, whatever you need, they have. If you go today, use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. That's phillygoat.com. They actually do have some gear from the 64 Phillies, if that's your thing. I know my dad really was disappointed, obviously, but watch that team. So phillygoat.com. Great for Father's Day. Treat yourself even if you want. But use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. You can also click the link that's in the description of this episode wherever you're getting this podcast. All right, continuing our rivalry month discussion. Today we're going to go to one of those relatively shorter rivalries, and this one's actually even shorter than the Buccaneers we talked about earlier in the week. But the Toronto Raptors, they came into existence in 1995, and it's hard to believe that that's almost 30 years ago. Makes me feel really old, but they are Sixers' divisional rival. The Raptors, believe it or not, lead the all-time series 62-45. A lot of those games happened, obviously, in between the floundering of at the end of the AI era and the process and everything like that. So take that with a grain of salt. But it is one of our bigger playoff rivals, especially recently. The Sixers are 11-9 in playoff games, 2-1, hold a 2-1 series advantage. The three times they met have all been pretty good series. 2001, the second round thriller where it was AI versus Vince Carter, went 7 games, Sixers winning. If you haven't watched the Everything But the Chip documentary on NBA TV, check it out. And I just forgot how amazing this matchup was and just how back and forth. And I don't remember being as nerve-wracking, but just watching it, I'm like, oh my God, like they very easily could have lost that game or that series because Vince Carter had a decent shot at the end of Game 7 to do it. But check that out. So that was the first one, Sixers won. The Rockets. The Raptors got their revenge in 2019 in the second round, winning another thrilling series. That was the Kawhi Leonard shot. Very eerily similar to around the spot where Vince Carter shot his in 2001, only this time after like 4 bounces, Kawhi's went in. The Raptors would go on to win the NBA championship that year. And then just last year, the Sixers beat them in the first round 4-2. This one was a little chippy. It wasn't necessarily a thriller, but it was chippy. This is where in Game 6, Siakam elbowed Joe, broke his orbital bone, gave him a concussion, and he ended up missing the first 2 games of the Miami series, which really, I think, set the tone and cost the Sixers the second round, or caused them to be out in the second round that year. So that, like I said, that was more of a rough series. And that was where Nick Nurse, our new coach, and Joe kept going back and forth with each other and John, because Nick Nurse had drawn up some defenses that really frustrated Joe. Now that he's our coach, hopefully he has the antidote to that, because it seems like a lot of teams have been copying what he did in that series. But Toronto, like I said, it's a more of a relatively newer rivalry. I rank it pretty high, probably only because of those 3 playoff series, specifically the one last year. It kind of boils your blood a little bit, and I think that's key to a good rivalry. A team that playing against a team that you don't necessarily hate, but you're just like, oh, I want to see them lose. Plus, you got the whole Toronto connection with Joe Carter and the Blue Jays. I know that's a stretch, but all these years later, I'm still a little bitter about that. But today's rival, Toronto Raptors, we got their coach, so hopefully that leads to some good things for us. Phil's looking to take 2 out of 3 today. Union rolling. It is going to be a beautiful day here in the Philadelphia area, so this has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Saturday. Or no, not a Saturday. You already had a Saturday. Go have yourselves a Sunday. Whew. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.